I want you to get together.
Hello, everyone. I've got another tips for truthers for you here, and this is quite a relaxed conversation I'm going to have here, and in a way, I'm going to be reiterating a few of my previous examples of tips for truthers, kind of hashing them all together. But I think it's one of these tips that we could all do with a healthy reminder of every now and then when we're doing our research into all these hidden deceptions that we're constantly uncovering. And as I said, it can get overwhelming. It's very easy to get yourself kind of lost in it all sometimes, and to not really stay grounded and kind of start living in the information you've learned than reality itself, and in a way, it can kind of make you a bit weird, and sometimes you do just need to take a step back and gain some perspective. And I guess I'm kind of going to be reiterating again some of these old tips I've tried to say before, just in another way. I think with this angle, I'm going to try and explain it as something like this. And I always keep these tips relatively vague because it's not really about any particular topic. It's like these tips are like a general application rule you can apply over whatever it is you're researching, whatever particular topic you're involved with at that particular moment. So that's why I'm not being too specific here, because you can apply this to whatever the rabbit hole you're currently exploring and whatever warren you found yourself in. But I do think sometimes we have to be careful when on our journey and doing our research not to get so hyper fixated on one particular topic as the be all end all of everything. Okay. And in the past, I've used examples like, there is things like the Mandela effect when that turned up. A lot of people became hyper fixated on that thing alone and they basically, mainly channel makers, made nothing but videos on that one topic, and only ever focused on that and kind of boxed themselves in to only ever talk about that one thing. And I think there's a lot of people out there who, even researchers today, who would still scream and cry that we need to focus on the Mandela effect. This is the only thing that matters, and nothing else is more important than the changing of our reality, through nefarious means. But again, that's just one topic. The Flat Earth movement did the exact same thing, and you found that there's a lot of people involved in that movement who became hyper fixated on it, and really obsessed with the topic to the point where everything was only about that. That was the ultimate only one possible truth that anybody should be talking about. And if you are not talking about this topic, then you must be evil in some way or trying to deceive people. And these are the types of thought processes and attitudes that do begin to arise when you start getting hyper fixated on one particular conspiratorial topic. And you know what? I get why people get like that, because these topics are incredibly mind-shattering and paradigm-shifting and altering, and it's hardly surprising people get like that about them, because they are incredible truths that do shift up people's perspectives and realities in amazingly powerful ways. And I'm not trying to put down or disparage the Mandela effect or the Flat Earth movement and the very valid knowledge involved within those topics. I'm not. What I'm trying to say is, don't get obsessive and bogged down specifically on the one thing and make your entire research and life about that one thing. So on my channel, you'll notice I talk about a lot of topics. Right now, my focus is primarily on the theory I did create, which is the Nephilim look like clowns. That's kind of my baby, which I'm always going to be nursing and growing and promoting and making work about and talking about, because that's what my work is about. That's what my research I've personally try to add to the community is about. But I do like to talk about other things, and I don't want to be a one-trick pony that only just talks about the Nephilim and clowns. So I do branch out into other topics. So I have a series, if you don't know this about me, called Remember, the Remember series. And it's something I started when I came back at the start of the year, where I just basically recap on old theories. And it's like, do you remember cloning centers, for example? Do you remember Indigo Children? Or do you remember Comet Ison? Do you remember that thing? Just things from the past that I think a lot of conspiracy theorists have kind of moved on from, but were a big deal when they first cropped up as a topic. And I go back in time and try to recall my thoughts and feelings around the time when this topic became a thing and how it influenced my thoughts and impacted the way I view the conspiracy. Because I do like to talk about other conspiracy theories, but I do get a little bit, retrospective about stuff, and I like to talk about and speculate about the effects it has on people, as well as just the theory itself. As you know what I'm like. If you've been listening to me long enough, you know that I like to get like that. So yeah, I myself try to lead by example, and I do try and branch out into other topics. Obviously, I've been talking about the millennial reign and the millennial kingdom topic for a good few months now. I started to dip my toe into it last October, and I think I've produced a lot of thoughts and speculations on it and ideas surrounding it. And I've inputted my journey to discovering it and my thoughts and ideas around that particular topic. And I did do the same thing when the Mandela effect came around and when Flat Earth first cropped up too. But sadly, a lot of those videos have vanished because of the YouTube overlords, and they kind of got booted out of my control. Which is odd in hindsight when you think about it. Maybe that's just the conspiracy theorists within me coming out again saying that. But I did the same thing as I'm doing with this topic now, because that's what I like to do. When these type of all-encompassing topics appear that provide fantastic, amazing perspectives and answers that give us a view that explains a lot of stuff, I love to just sink my teeth into them and just get to know everything about it, and get all the possibilities out on the table and see where we can fit it into the grand puzzle. But what I like to do is also remember that there's always going to be another topic. There's always going to be the next revelation coming in another few years' time. There's going to be something else, okay? There always is. It's on like a 3-4 year cycle, I've noticed, where this new topic crops up, There seems to be a pattern emerging, and that's what I do. I recognize patterns. That's all a conspiracy theorist really is, and I see this pattern. And right now, I'm enjoying exploring this topic. I am. And it's definitely, I think I'm 100% on board with it. That it does seem like the millennial reign has come and gone. Absolutely, But I'm not going to make my entire channel about nothing but that topic from now on and become obsessed about it as though it's the only thing that's worth talking about forever, and lose everything else to it, which tends to happen with these all-encompassing ideas and theories when they crop up. I see it happen all the time with a lot of people in the comment sections and channel creators as well, of all types and of all belief systems, whether they're Christian or New Age, it doesn't matter. I see this happen with these types of topics, and it's just not where I want to go in my channel. And I do think as critical thinking, outside of the box conspiracy theorist types, we should always keep ourselves open to exploring other things as well, to keep our minds sharp, to also understand, other perspectives and ideas out there that could be contrary, by the way, to the current thing that you're believing, in order to steel man your arguments. First of all, it's the best way to do it, by knowing what your enemies have to say about these particular topics and what their rebuttals are, so you have answers. But also, you may also learn a thing or two sometimes as well. So it's always good to keep yourself going. But it's also good to gain perspective that there are plenty of other things also going on while you're currently researching this specific one topic. So it's kind of, I think I described it in the past as, be careful not to plateau. You end up staying on one plane for a while, What I mean is, it's kind of, once you get to a certain knowledge level up there, sometimes you can end up staying on that level for ages and never really going up and learning anything else. And again, I do feel like there may be people out there who are happy for you to stay on that level, as long as that guy over there just keeps thinking and talking about nothing but the Mandela effect, we're happy. I think there are people out there who think like that, and I'm more of I call myself a scattershot conspiracy theorist. I like to know a little bit about everything, about every topic, and I have found that is the best practice for me. That has kept me relatively grounded as well throughout my research. Obviously, my foundation for all of this is a solid foundation in the belief of Jesus Christ being the Son of God who saved mankind, okay, and believing on him. So that is has always been my foundation for all of this. And you do have to stand for something, don't get me wrong, okay? But this is the nature of conspiracy. We are more often than not dealing with speculation and theories. Some things can be provable, don't get me wrong, but usually we're dealing with ideas here rather than 100% solid, proven facts. It's like, I would say it's like 50-50. We have like 50% proven facts and things we do know, and then 50% of the time we're just trying to figure it out and figure out what we don't know and speculate, and we have to always remember that. And in a way as well, besides this general tip of, don't get stuck on one thing and make that your entire life when it comes to researching, you've got to also kind of remember that you need to, how do I put this? You need to remember to stay grounded and detach every now and then and get back to your real life. You do have to do that. And I'm guilty of not doing this sometimes and getting a little bit too wrapped up in stuff. And we have to remember that, we have friends and family, and we have a life to live as well. And fundamentally, if you want to get all conspiratorial about this, I'm sure the controllers would also love us getting completely obsessed with conspiracy theories all the time and not focusing on our personal lives. I think that would also be beneficial to them in many ways, because it starts at home, really, doesn't it? All the good in the world starts with with your friends and family. What we can do for people, it starts with us, and it starts with our immediate people around us. So we also need to remember, while we're getting to our research, to come back to the world for a second and remember, okay, you've got bills to pay, you've got a job to go to, you've got a family you need to watch grow and to help nurture and nourish and spend time with. You've got people who rely on you and depend on you. You've got you've got a world to explore and a life to live, and you've got people to see and things to do. Don't forget that about yourself, and give yourself that, allow yourself to do stuff. Because years ago, when I first started, I was in that mode where I was kind of isolated on my own in the same room every day, just staring at the screen, taking in all the information and just getting into the black-pilled, doomsday, red-pilled state of mind, and basically what I'm saying is touch grass, get out there, and remember that only try and use this knowledge for good. It's great to be armed with this knowledge, but don't let it consume you to the point where your life gets worse. That's not what God would want for you. That sounds more like what the enemy would want for you, So, wise as serpents and harmless as doves, guys. Make sure to stay armed with the knowledge, yes, but don't let that knowledge and this information consume you to the point where you kind of lose yourself. And sometimes that does mean, and this is another tip I gave, you have to take a break. It's good to take breaks sometimes just to gain that perspective. Just unplug, don't comment, don't get involved, don't watch a single video. Come back in a month's time or something like that and pick up where you left off, and you'll feel like a renewed type of perspective. And a healthy distance as well will be applied once you start looking into these things, so you can kind of, not lose yourself in it again. And it is, I took 5 years off. It was forced, mind you. I didn't want to, but I couldn't, because the workplace at the time said, no, you can't have a channel and work for our company. And I needed the money. I was a university student, fresh, in plenty of debt because of that. And I had just got myself landed a position in a supermarket as a manager. It was a good position, and it's kind of I capitulated and went off YouTube for a while. And it's not my proudest moment. I'm not happy I gave in that time. But also, I've said this before, all things get worked for good through God, and in a way, that time off did help me in many ways as well. It helped me just recenter myself, get a bit more grounded, get a better relationship with my friends and family, kind of realize my potential, get closer to God as well. Not focusing on the negative all the time can really help you focus on the positives and the good news and all that type of stuff. So it is, there is many benefits to taking breaks, is what I'm trying to say there. And I say this from experience. Because I know there's a lot of new truthers out there, people who have kind of just joined the game. Maybe it was a particular event just a few years ago that sparked your curiosity and sent you off on one. But what I will say is, if it's only been a couple of years, you are fresh. You are fresh into this, and there are plenty of people who have been doing this for decades. I have 1 decade under my belt, but there are more people who have been doing this for way longer than I have, and even I would say I've still got a lot to learn. And I understand that his burning desire to want to fight back and get the zeal to want to go out there and hunt for the enemy and find ways to bring him down and expose the evil and the darkness and be on fire for God if you've gone that way, or just be on fire for the truth, whatever you define that as. You know, I get that you might end up in that state of mind at the beginning, but it will burn you out and you will lose yourself. That tends to be what happens. And it happened to me. I've done it. I was there, you know, and I got embroiled in all sorts of crazy, wacky fights when I first started this channel with all sorts of people and groups and people I perceived as evil and all sorts of things. But again, taking that breaking in that perspective and helped me go in a long way to learn how to deal and process this traumatic information a bit better, a bit more in more of a healthy way that's conducive to a happier life. So you know, there's a few tips scattered in what I just said there. I guess, you know, you know what I'm like. Again, I do tend to ramble, but there are a few tips just kind of scattered in what I said there. Take of it what you will. It is a bit of a rehashing of all my previous individual tips. But I guess the core message I'm trying to say here is, don't get hyper fixated on just one thing and lose yourself and your identity completely to it, unless that thing obviously is Jesus Christ and the truth in God. But also remember, you still have a life to live. And it's also healthy to take breaks every now and then. Don't feel guilty if you do that. I know what it feels like. We're trying to save the world. You know, you want to help people. But what I'll say is the world was burning long before you turned up, and it will continue to burn even if you took a break. This is not a one-man show where we're gonna make much of a difference as much as we think we are, unfortunately, with our talking online. You can take a break. There are plenty of other people out here trying our best to put the fire out. Okay, yeah, you can go on holiday. You've got cover for it. Is what I'm trying to say. You know, and we are in a good news sense. We are a growing group of people as well. You know, there are positives coming out of all this. There are more and more people who are realizing truths. Again, I know that's a bit vague, because not everybody is coming to the ultimate truth in Christ and all that as well. I'll say that, you know, but there are a lot of people who are just starting their journey, who have just started their journey, or are about to as well. It's a rapidly growing movement because the evil of the world is kind of becoming a little bit more blatant, and a lot more people are asking questions. And that, again, that comes with more new people to the culture, to the group, and more new people kind of falling into these pitfalls I'm trying to warn them about with these tips for truthers. And hopefully people might get something from these little experiential tidbits I'm sharing here. You know, I hope somebody gets something from it. I do. If not, that's okay. I try. At least I can say I tried. But I'll leave that there for now, guys. Thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.
I want you to get together